What if we told you that buying a new car could save you tens of thousands of dollars? Not a bad proposition when you consider the cost of gas these days.
Tonight, consumer editor Stephen Cooper crunches the numbers and shows us what happens when you take gas out of the equation.
So when I say to you gas prices, you say,
oh my God, they're very high.
Gina Francis is a realtor and she does a lot of driving. So does Casey Colasso. They've got work, errands, the kids, everything. And when they pull up to the pump, they've got sticker shock.
Today I filled up my tank and normally it costs about $40 max. Today I spent $65.
So we talk about more fuel-efficient vehicles, hybrids, electric cars. Would you ever consider a hybrid or an electric car?
Yes, yes.
Others are not so convinced.
It is a catch-22 because I'm going to be spending a lot of money to get a new car, but at the same time I'm spending a lot of money to fill my gas tank.
So let's crunch the numbers.
It's a revolution.
We asked Bill Young of the Florida Solar Energy Center to compare the costs of driving and owning 3 different breeds of cars. The Nissan Altima, gas only, the Toyota Prius hybrid, and the all-electric Nissan Leaf. Clearly it costs more to buy a Leaf or a Prius, but the Altima only gets you an average 23 miles per gallon. The Prius gets you 50, and the Leaf will blow you away with the electric equivalent of 99 miles per gallon.
It would be great to just stop and charge up my car anywhere. That would be awesome. But right now we're a slave to the prices.
Not Shannon Monroe. He freed himself from the bonds of oil when he bought this Nissan Leaf in California. He got transferred here, making his Leaf the first Leaf in Florida.
The biggest difference has been realizing that you don't even know what the price of gas is anymore. That quickly evaporates from your life.
And this is why, when we compared our 3 cars, we found the average cost per year to fuel the Altima was over $1,800. The Prius would cost us just over $1,000, and the Leaf would come in on average at a paltry $390. Shannon and his Leaf do even better.
I average about $15 a month, and I figure it's saving me close to $65 a week in gas charges.
And over the long term, say 10 years, the cost to run the Leaf is at least 4.5 times less than the Altima.
Then I can take this energy cost that the Leaf is and find that I'll be able to buy another car in 10 years with that savings.
As for Gina, that might just convince her to go electric.
My next one, if the prices are still like this, I'm seriously going to look at it.
The savings don't stop at the pump. Electric cars require much less maintenance than traditional vehicles. There are no oil or transmission fluid changes and far fewer moving parts that need to be fixed. Stephen Cooper, Local 6.
So how long will a charge last, and what happens if you run out? Stephen will have all those answers Monday on the Morning News.
Let's get right now to consumer editor Stephen Cooper to show us why it could be easier than you think to trade in your gas-guzzling car for a new electric one.
So, what came first, the chicken or the egg? In the electric car equivalent, the vehicle or the charging station.
It would be great to just stop and charge up my car anywhere.
It would be, but so many of us are afraid that we can't. So the idea of actually buying an electric car feels risky. But think about it. An electric like the Nissan Leaf can go about 100 miles on a full charge, so getting through an average workday should be a breeze.
All right. Thank you for opening our car charging station.
And more charging stations like this one at the Florida Mall continue to pop up throughout Central Florida. Many cities are setting up stations with the help of federal grant money.
You can buy a lot of charge points for the amount of money we spend on conventional fossil fuels.
A company called WattNext is installing 24 charging stations in these cities alone. Orlando Utilities Commission will be installing between 200 and 300 stations in the city by October, and the electrics have barely rolled off the assembly line. However, you should know this first generation is basically like a top-off to your tank. About an hour charge will give you an extra 10 to 20 miles. So think of it as a lunch hour pick-me-up for your car. Scott DuPont, who produced the movie What is the Electric Car, puts it this way.
Most people are going to plug in the garage at home. they'll never need one of these chargers.
In fact, Bill Young of the Florida Solar Energy Center first owned an electric car in 1988 before the industry literally pulled the plug. And this is how he charged up when away from home.
I would go up to people's houses and knock on their door and ask to plug my car in.
Aren't you asking to use their energy, though, that costs them
money?
money?
And they share a beer with me, and we talk about my car. I give them a ride, and I get free of charge.
Speaking of free, the first charging stations to go up in the region will actually be free for consumers to use for the foreseeable future. I'm consumer editor Stephen Cooper, Local 6.